Hello, welcome to the end of 2018 and almost the start of 2019. Today we're going to just have almost a little sit and chat kind of a thing. So it might be a good idea to, you might want to save this video till later, put it in your watch later list, save it for when you're going to be working on your models over the new year, and just listen to it as you paint. Right? Now, before we get started, please go ahead down below, share the video, like it, subscribe, and click the notification bell if you want to stay up to date on when I release new videos and new content. So with that, let's kind of get started. 2018 is a completely chaotic year when you compare it to what I had planned. I had a grand scheme of running through the year working on normal video channel stuff, building my Necron army up, and enjoying just finishing out my Polish First Armor Division in bolt action. Well, didn't quite work out the way I expected. During the year, I realized I need more terrains. I just don't have enough. And you at the shop, I'm sure you might know this. When you go to your own gaming areas, you only have so much terrain you can play with, and sometimes the boards start to look the same. So I decided I'm going to have to start thinking about that. So I decided that, well, I've got too many things to cover 2018, so I have to put terrain off, and let's just focus on what we need to get done this year. And so I did that by finishing out my Polish First Armor Division 10th Dragoons, 8th Rifles, and my Cromwell tank platoon. Got those all done, even the transports for the Dragoons. So I have a completely full platoon based on the standard equipment, table of organization equipment. So it just was a goal of mine. So finally got those taken care of. Unfortunately, while pursuing that, my computer crashed, as you know, and wasn't able to do much video posting. Learned a lot about me and doing videos and what I'd like and want to do, and found I enjoy painting. Got more commissions this year. That went crazy. I was doing more commissions this year than I ever expected, and almost half of the models I painted this year were for other people. So after taking care of the Polish First Armor Division, I decided to start looking at some other things, some other areas. 'Cause when I was when I was younger, I was playing with board games such as Western Desert in the Europa game system, which is a hex map and chit type game where each hex is about 16 miles distant, and each unit is maybe a battalion or larger. So you've got battalions, regiments, brigades, and divisions on each counter. So it's a pretty low level tactical game system. Within it, I saw this Carpathian brigade. It was one of the counters. Still remember the stats on it. It was an attack of 3, movement of 8. It's interesting. So I realized that I got curious with it. I knew it had something to do with Poland, Polish troops, because the Carpathian Mountains are in southern Poland, and so I decided to start looking into those, and I got hooked on the concept of doing the independent Carpathian, or I should say Carpathian Independent Infantry Brigade, which is kind of neat because this year Bolt Action or Warlord Games put out the Western Desert campaign book. So I thought it's just good timing. So here I've got all these other projects, and I've added this one, but I was still needing to finish my early war Polish, which I started when I first started into bolt action 2 years ago, but wasn't actually able to accomplish because budget reasons and stuff. And I found another supplier of some models, and so I was able to mix and match, and finally able to get those taken care of and finish this year out with my basic platoon, again modeling after the table of organization equipment for the 10th Cavalry Brigade. So the projects kind of went much different than I expected for the year, which was a good thing. I enjoyed it thoroughly throughout the year. One of the things that I was hoping to accomplish was to actually get more video content up quicker, because I didn't expect the laptop to be down for so long, and start going after the, again, 15 a month kind of a thing. And I realized that wasn't a good approach. That was stressing me out. I didn't want to do that. But I had been recording videos throughout the time the computer was down, so I've got a backlog now of videos to do, and in the process of doing some currently. So I'm going to be, like I mentioned earlier, I'm paring back the number of videos so it's more manageable on my side, because it takes a lot more effort and time to do a video than I really realized. I enjoy it, I want to do it, but I want to do my model building and my painting as well. One of the things that really stood out to me for this year, this was, I think, the most important thing that happened to me this year, was early in the year, around May, just before the computer went out. I was contacted by someone who had seen my Academy series on Liddell Hart. He's actually a Royal Navy cadet, and he had reached out to me to ask questions, and we had started discussing, and he was working through one of his coursework assignments on 20th century conflict and battles and such, and applying some of the tactical concepts to those in those battles and trying to highlight them. And he was taking the approach of looking at Liddell Hart's maxims and trying to apply them to certain battles that kind of showcase them. And he'd asked for some input and some ideas, and we chatted a bit, and I went off and started thinking about what he was looking for, and I gave him some input to that. And to me, that was a really huge validation, because here I am. Military history and strategy is a hobby of mine. It's an interest. I really enjoy it. I've got this library for exactly that purpose. I love to learn this kind of stuff, and it's always growing. Matter of fact, I need more room. But here I'm just a guy who's out here on video now trying to tell people about some of these things, and you sometimes wonder if you're making sense and if you really know what you're talking about, because I don't want to be another arrogant, what I call a talking head on the video. There's too many of those already. And here it seemed like, no, I'm actually reaching people and explaining things in ways that they can understand. And what was different about this was that this is someone who I never met, didn't know, was literally on the other side of the world, and he was learning from me. My local gaming group has told me, a lot of times about how it's been helpful listening to some of the content that I put out. And as with most human relationships, those people who are closer to you, you sometimes don't really internalize what they're telling you. But having someone completely outside your circle of friends, if you will, say something that what's the same thing they've been saying, and it finally sinks in. So this has been a good year from that perspective alone. So even though I was off the grid, if you will, for over 6 months, I had an impact and will continue to have an impact, and it inspired me to continue this. So the Academy series is going to continue, and I'm looking forward to doing more. One of my subscribers and commenters has been, I'm going to use the word pestering me, to do something about close combat. And I've been searching for material on that. And I finally found a couple resources, actually U.S. military manuals again, that kind of cover some of the concepts of close combat. Not in the sense of your man-to-man fighting, hand-to-hand, how you actually do the hand-to-hand combat, but how do you occupy those positions. There's a lot to that, and I think the series I'm about to record is going to be what he's looking for. So stay tuned. Hopefully that'll come out and will again enlighten us all, because a lot of our games include a close combat angle, and a lot of some of them actually, that's a very thrilling part of it. And in some cases, certain units are designed to do that and excel at that. Whereas in other systems, it's just a feature that can be utilized within the system. So it's nice to kind of explore how to do that. We've been talking about shooting and movement and position for a couple years now. Now I think let's go ahead and we'll start talking about assaulting. So that's really kind of something I'm looking forward to. Now, one thing that I've decided for 2019 is to focus on finishing out my Carpathian Independent Brigade, which won't take much. I've got a couple 3D printed armored cars thanks to one of my subscribers and a friend of mine. And I've got a few kits I'll pick up from Perry Miniatures to round out that and give me some of the things I want. So that will take a little bit of time. But I decided to focus on terrain. Now, the reason I decided to do this, as I mentioned before, I don't have a lot. And I'd like to get more variety and have full tables themed around something. Whether it be my Exit Army, so it's jungle terrain, or the French countryside, or a French village in World War II, some Polish scene in World War II. I want to be able to do that, just with my own miniatures. Because one of the things I want to start doing at the shop is hopefully introducing the game Bolt Action to more people. And I've been teaching 40K to newer players on and off over the course of the last 6 months, 8 months, trying to get them kind of up to speed. Other guys at the shop do the same thing, but I want to make sure that I've got terrain that kind of is cinematic for the scenarios that I want to play, the settings I want to capture, and because when I start doing bat reps for these, whether it's 40K or whether it's Bolt Action, that it's going to look good and present some tactical challenges on the table that are satisfying. So terrain's going to be a big improvement. Now, what's seemingly vanished from this whole equation over 2018-19 are the Necrons. Well, truth is they haven't vanished, but something completely unexpected has occurred just this last month. I had the chance to acquire an entire Necron army with almost everything that I was looking to acquire over the course of this next couple of years. Now I'll be doing a lot of painting commissions to pay it off because it's for one of my clients. But I tell you, the timing is perfect. I've got over 100 warriors now, and I'll need to do some painting touch-ups. I got to make sure the color scheme matches what I'm doing. It has very few vehicles, so I can add to those that I need to picture. Got lots of scarabs, which is something I really, really wanted. Lots of spiders, which I wanted. Now these are old school, the metal ones. Now it does come with wraiths, but I'm not going to use those because, like I mentioned before, I want to use scorpion-styled wraiths. And so my 2019 Necrons projects are going to be limited to finishing out the terrain tile that I bought, the Necron Tomb Citadel tile from Games Workshop or Forge World, and adding to it some of the, I guess, artillery. So some of the sentry pylons, especially from, I remember the name of the, it's a combat, right here, there somewhere, right here is going to be the name. I'll remember it, put it up there. Actually, Nick Beer 40K, did a review of these sentry pylons that he bought, and they're MDF kits. They look really good, and they'll give me a cheap way to add the artillery and add that component, automated defense component, to my army. And that's something I've been wanting to do for a while now, and since it's part of terrain, it's going to fit right in. I mean, one of the first things I buy terrain-wise in 2019. Looking at the way I'm still going to play the Necrons out the way I intended. So even though I have a full collection with most of the units modeled, I'm going to start out the way it's still intended. Scarabs, spiders, wraiths. So I'm going to introduce my Tomb World through a series of bat reps. I don't know if I'd actually call it a campaign, if you will, but I just thought it'd be kind of nice to throw some special scenarios out there. And I do have a Necron Awakening campaign that, if I find the right players with the right armies, it would be a great thing to do another narrative campaign like I did with the Kegarax Last Laugh. But we'll see how that plays out. Either way, I'm going to start my army the way I intended, and since most of these models are built, what I'm going to do, and I'll have to repaint some of them, and that'll be the way I add to the army, by simply doing the repainting the next thing that I need as part of the Reawakening protocols. And thinking on the narrative campaign aspect of these Necrons, I realized how much I enjoyed doing Kegarax's Last Laugh, and how unexpectedly it turned out, and it ended. Actually, even I could never have planned this because I didn't know what Games Workshop was doing, but it ended in a way that was completely unexpected. It actually ended one story short of what I'd written, but it ended just in time and in a perfect way for the switch to 8th edition. So it's almost like I don't want to touch any more of that narrative series. That was perfect for 7th edition. Now it's time to do another narrative campaign though. And so I think it's going to be around the Necrons, but we'll have to see. There's just so many things I want to do. I think that's part of the problem. I'm worried about in 2019 getting sucked back in to doing too many things on video, and then sapping my energy and strength and passion for gaming and stuff. As I don't want to end up like I was, because I love the way I'm turning out models and painting, and how relaxed I feel, how much I can get done just in life in general by having this proper balance. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to in 2019. Now, one other thing that didn't work out in 2018 that I was really expecting to do was finally finish the model of the Klingon D7 that my friend gave me a couple years back. And when Nick Beer put out that New Year's Painting Challenge, this was my choice. Now, the problem is I started second-guessing myself on the color scheme as I went through all of the research and found the color scheme that the actual model for the studio was painted, because the colors that you see on the screen are not the colors that it actually has on it, because the way light plays off of colors in film especially is just can really distort things. Now, the way I was going to paint it would make it look like it did in the movies, or not the movies, sorry, the series, the original series. As it turns out, it didn't look like that. It was actually very pale green and light gray. And boy, there's some light gray, there's some green, darker green. I thought, I should do it that way. But I had already bought the paints for the other, and I really don't know which way I should paint it. I'm thinking maybe I have to paint two. I have to get another one and build it. So hopefully 2019 we'll see finally the finishing of that model. And I just wanted it to come out so well because my friend gave it to me, and I definitely want to do a good job on that particular model. So that's something else that's going to come up. But so if you think about 2019, I decided to keep my plans really simple because I noticed how much in 2018 they changed. So trying to figure out what to do with that D7, adding a lot of terrain, and then hopefully start doing more bat reps and things with my Necron army. So we'll see how that all plays out. So that's what's in store. Now, I don't know if you guys make New Year's resolutions. I personally don't, because those are, to me, they're moments in time where this is what's on my mind, this is what I want to accomplish, and I can do that anytime during the year. I don't need to do it just beginning of the year. So if you guys do your New Year's resolutions, let me know. Let's share if you feel comfortable, if you want to. What have you got that you're going to try to do next year? What happened in 2018 that you thought was really amazing, or maybe not so great? Kind of what's just review your year and see how it went, and what are you looking forward to in 2019? Go ahead and comment below. Let's discuss, share with each other, and we'll see you guys in the next video. All right, take care. Bye bye. Happy New Year.